Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective, here with my buddy John Tran.
What's up, guys?
So, got a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack with this Oklahoma State game. We will also get into our West Virginia prep as well, and we have some exciting news and things we want to talk about at the end of the video. We will also have this up on our SoundCloud page, Fanatic Perspective, so we'll be able to, those of you who want to listen to the audio of this as well, that will be available to you. Now, without further ado, I want to get your thoughts on the game. Obviously, I had my emotional, I don't know if I did a rant, but, just real time right after the game. Immediate reaction to everything. But now, I've had a few days to sleep on things. You've had a few days to sleep on things. Tom Herman obviously had his press conference yesterday. But talk to the people about your thoughts on the Oklahoma State game and just what happened.
Well, what happened was the defense didn't hold up their end of the bargain. I mean, honestly, the way I looked at it, the way that Sam Ehlinger was playing, I really felt comfortable if we stopped them on that third and six, and they punted it. I really had the confidence that we drive down the field and actually get a field goal. Not necessarily saying we'd make the field goal and we tie it, but the way he was carrying himself, it really impressed me as a leader. And going forward, you're going to see this kid I want to see this kid be that way at all times. And he was making passes that I didn't think he could make it in that game. I mean, he dropped in the bucket twice, once to Beck and once to Ingram.
And how he played coming off of an injury. I mean, for all, he had the bye week, really didn't play against Baylor, played one series, and was sharp.
Yeah, very sharp.
Very sharp. And I was also surprised that quarterback run game, how effective he was. Not that he can't run or couldn't run, that obviously the shoulder doesn't prohibit him from doing that. But his, their confidence in him to run that, to basically run the normal offense, I was impressed. Just your thoughts. You mentioned at the beginning defense didn't hold up the end of their bargain. What do you mean by that?
They did. 260 first quarter yardage. I mean, I think they threw up a stat that's the second worst in Texas history.
Yeah.
Or was it in the last 15 years or something like that?
It was. I don't remember. I don't recall the stat exactly, but it was something to that effect. Yes.
But to me, I mean, you and I were going back and forth on text, and we were calling out what play they were going to do before that. And if we're able to notice that, I'm not willing to say that Todd Orlando is a bad defensive coordinator or anything.
Absolutely
like that,
not. Absolutely not. Yeah.
But the fact that we were able to call it out and they weren't able to, I guess, decipher their play call.
Identify it.
Yeah, it really threw up a red flag for me, and it just to me was a lack of focus. It wasn't anything that they were just better than us. But the fact of the matter is, their offensive line basically won about three quarters of the reps.
Which is disappointing because coming into that game, and we didn't do a whole lot of Oklahoma State prep, but one of the things we did do in the prep that we did do was we identified their offensive line as a weakness. And any Oklahoma State fan, because we've had a lot of them come on the channel over the last couple of days, and again, congrats to them on their for their football team and homecoming and the whole situation. I would be stoked if I was a fan of that team. But we cited the weakness of their offensive line, and they will tell you that their offensive line has been an issue this year, to the point where they were seriously considering making a quarterback change. And honestly, I thought if we had been on our A game, we may have been able to force the change the same way we did in the Kansas State game.
I agree.
Now, I understand it's a different scenario, different offenses and all that, but that's the type of conversations they were having internally about Taylor Cornelius, where they were going to go to the other kid, Drew, and if he got a look. So for us to not only not force that, but to make Taylor Cornelius look as effective as he did was disappointing, because you saw, basically our only pass rush was Gary Johnson blitzing for many parts of the game, because teams are starting to figure out Charles Omenihu. You just basically, allocate a lot of resources.
We were actually getting pressure too. I mean, we were getting pressure. There was countless times that I saw Brecken Hager in the backfield, but he wasn't finishing off the tackles.
All right. Well, he brought up.
I mean,
He brought up one of the first culprits.
I mean, he did. It's the truth. I mean, he even thought he got a sack, and he didn't get a sack. Yeah, he put his hand in the ground, and he thought he got it,
And
but
his teammates cleaned it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, his teammates cleaned it up behind him. Look, you touched on the lack of focus. Let's cut right to the chase. We had issues in the bye week. We come into a game, 2 senior corners benched for the first quarter. Anthony Cook and Kobe Boyce have to start the game. You know, we start off with issues. Obviously, they come back in the game. When I say they, Chris Boyd, LJ Humphrey, and Devontae Davis. And Chris Boyd, one of the seniors, and I want you to talk about elaborate. You talked about this in the midseason recap last week, your issues with the senior and the disappointment that they've been. Let's start with Chris Boyd when we work our way through some of the guys that are really struggling right now and struggled in this loss.
Yeah, well, just a side note, the reason why I said that they're disappointing is I've been to 3 games now this year, and I don't just watch the game, I watch the timeouts and how the team are reacting. You see all the seniors sitting down. You don't see them pumping up the team or anything like that. You see the walk-ons doing that for them, and you see Sam Ellinger. When the defense made a big play in the OU game, Sam Ellinger was the first one out to congratulate them on that. You don't see that from this team. I wasn't expecting these 2 players, these 2 defensive backs especially, to not go to meetings. And the reason why I say that is they're one of their really good friends, and I know they're really good friends because the defensive back unit are a very close-knit bunch of guys. Did not get drafted because of disciplinary issues. Holton Hill. They could have called him and talked to him, and they said the guy didn't get guaranteed money. He had to work. He had to work to get a 53-man spot. And no offense to Boyd or Davis, I'd rather have one Holton Hill over those 2 players.
Oh yeah, the film speaks for itself. And let me address another thing here, because there's been a lot of chatter on social media, and there's been a lot of people saying, well, you guys aren't real fans if you're criticizing them like this. And then you have former players like a Dorian Leonard getting on Twitter saying, well, this is where we're the only brothers are the people in the locker room because, fans are fans, and if you're critical, then you're not supporting the program and whatnot. Look, we're not taking any personal shots at these guys. I am, going back to, when Jeff Traylor brought the Boyds here and their high school play at Gilmer, they're good kids. I really do believe they're good kids. I do believe Chris Boyd is very passionate about, and one of the things is, first off, just to address that, we have to be critical of this team because we have expectations, just like they have expectations. So, and I'm talking about, too, the Manny Acho situation where they're firing back and forth at one another. Manny Acho, to me, did not say anything that was out of line. He said he was playing like trash. Now, did he call him out by name? No. But when you say someone's playing like, I'm not saying you are trash. That is totally different. My cousin is a high school football player. He plays 5A ball. I've told him at times when he gets false starts, he does dumb stuff. Hey, you're playing like an idiot. You're doing stupid things, and I call him out for it, holding him accountable. Just like we praise this team consistently when they have good behavior and do the right things. Mm-hmm. It's just us being objective. And I think Manny Acho was being objective. He'd be the first person to praise Chris. But when they start taking things personally, and the thing is, Tom Herman said it yesterday, they need to stop responding to all that stuff on social media. The best way to silence your critics is with your play on the field.
Play good.
Chris Boyd should have known he was already under the gun with the fan base the moment they announced he got suspended. If you don't want to be criticized, start with getting your butt to meetings on time. If you don't want to be criticized, don't get mossed on 4th and 1. Recognize your matchup against Tylen Wallace and bring your A game. You let your team down because not only are you out of the game for one quarter, but when you come back, you have an opportunity. And I'm not going to say you should have got the interception, but because honestly, if he really was aware, he would have knocked the ball away, would have taken the ball over at the 25. Because defensively, see, stuff like that I can't put on the coaches. That's not Tom Herman's fault. That's not Todd Orlando's fault. That's not Jason Washington's fault. They had him in a position to make the play. It's not like they got tricked on 4th and 1.
Nope.
He dropped back. Chris Boyd's in front. Barrington Jones was behind. They both
actually had double coverage on it.
It was double coverage. That's a bad throw, bad decision by Oklahoma State, where they got bailed out because of a complete lapse where he missed, the excuse where he mistimes his jump. We can't have stuff like that, prior to the program, and then we don't say anything about it. So, I mean, I hate to just go on a rant like that, but, going into the Brecken Hager thing, after the game, he obviously, tries to blow up the running back, and we get into the whole thing where the coaches are running on the field. I'm not really upset with Tom Herman, to be honest with you.
Because there's a misunderstanding.
There's a misunderstanding. And as Andrew Beck pointed out very astutely, the person we need to be, kind of pointing the finger towards here is Brecken Hager. Just your thoughts on that.
I love that he's trying to hold that team accountable. Andrew Beck. I love that. He said, look, I'm going to have a talk with him. Just me and him, no one else. And whatever's said between me and him is going to be kept between me and him. I love how he's taken that initiative as a senior leader. And I think NFL scouts are going to notice about him. And plus, he's getting more touches. He's getting. I think he had 3 receptions, and they're all.
Yeah. So with that, I want to get to the good, bad, ugly, right? Because we just kind of just went on just raw thoughts. Oklahoma State. There was a lot of good from this football game, guys. He touched on it earlier with Sam Ehlinger and his performance, throwing the football. I thought honestly they had a lot of nice play design.
Absolutely,
a lot of nice play design.
We're in complete agreement about the offensive play calling, even down to the point of protecting Ehlinger's shoulder. When they did quarterback power, I think we counted it. They ran up the middle once with designed,
and everything was mostly to the right.
It was to the right, so those big linebackers or defensive ends that are chasing him are hitting him on the left-hand side as opposed to the right-hand side. It was, and then they set him up with that touchdown pass,
so
which we loved.
That was probably the most well-designed play
absolutely.
we've run all year. We've been banging that quarterback power to the right all year long. That's our bread and butter play. I told y'all coming into the season, that's the one play we call where we, for whatever reason, no matter the defensive front, we block it well, we execute it well, whether it's LJ back there, Ehlinger, Bouchel, everybody has had success running that quarterback power, specifically even to the right side. One of the things I noticed was Oklahoma State knew that play was coming. They knew that play was coming. They allocated resources to that side of the field. As soon as the ball was snapped, guys were cheating over. And the thing about elite play calling is when you build off of plays. They anticipated Oklahoma State reacting to it in that manner and built in pop pass behind it to the tight end. And that's when Andrew Beck is wide. When you see people wide open like that, that's when you've countered and built and what do I want to say? Just built that play well, off of another play.
I think you texted me perfectly. It's like we were playing chess there.
Yes, we finally were playing chess, and I felt that. And look, I know you guys are going to come in and talk about the amount of 3-and-outs that we had, and we had some penalty issues again. But all things considered, with the personnel that we had, when our scoring drives, we scored relatively easy. Except for the last drive, which I was frustrated with the clock. We'll get to that in a second. But overall, we went boom, boom, boom. Our intermediate pass game, when we took our time, was excellent. I thought more of the issues we had offensively was execution. I thought the design of the plays, because I think people automatically go to the play calling sucks if a play doesn't work. Just watching the game, it's like, why did we run that play, blah, blah, blah. If you really go back and look at the film, that game, we actually, we tried to run the football. We mixed in our run. The thing is, we got behind. We got so far behind, we had to be a lot more aggressive in coming back. And I do believe that the lack of speed, if you look at this team, we've only had one explosive play this year on a punt return. Our longest run this year is 31 yards. Our longest pass play this year is 47 yards. We don't even have a pass play over 50 yards. So yes, when we're trying to get back into games and stuff, we're not hitting over the top. And that's why I said last week, the final tier to this offense is either those deep posts or down the field. But right now we're struggling with that with our personnel. So Tom Herman, who I believe is the one calling the plays, he's having to call the plays as basically we need to go on these 10, 12 play drives and bang it out. He can only do so much with the personnel that he has. Positives from the defense, because there were some again. I thought Charles Omenihu, all things considered, had a very good game. I thought Gary Johnson brought it. We talk about the seniors. He was the one senior that I think did play well. So there were some guys. I thought in the second half they held Oklahoma State to 7 points. That 7 points coming off of a punt from the end zone where they get the ball at like the 35-yard line.
And it was and we should have held that, and we just missed a tackle.
Yeah,
we missed a tackle.
Yeah. And that's the difference too, because some people, well, you're not banging on B.J. Foster. Well, he's a freshman, okay, and it's not a question of effort. B.J. Foster didn't get suspended. We haven't seen repeated mistakes from him like we have from, say, a P.J. Locke, who got injured because he allegedly ran into a audio box on the sideline, which frustrates the hell out of me because
he still played.
That he still played.
Hurting his team.
Because I thought Josh Thompson was fine when he got in there. And I don't understand why they don't open that position back up for competition. At least lie to me, Tom, and tell me, yo, you gotta open.
And side note with that, there was 4 different occasions that I saw him confused on coverage.
Yeah, he couldn't even get lined up.
This is before the snap. All they did was put Stoner in motion, and he looked back at Caden Stearns with his hands up, asking, "What coverage are we in now?" That as a senior, you're not supposed to be doing that. I mean, especially to a freshman. Looking back to a freshman and kind of throwing shoulders up to that.
That's why I was saying, like, Oklahoma State, this will lead me into West Virginia in a second. Like, if you're watching the tape, I don't understand how you don't just attack the hell out of Locke and Boyd when they're on the same side.
Oh, they did.
But like there was a couple plays that Oklahoma State actually left on the field though, where they threw the ball to Davis and those other guys over there and it was an incomplete pass. But it's like, if you see that alignment over there, I would do it all day until they start showing any signs of communication. And that doesn't even account for both of them having very poor ball skills. We're just talking about pre-snap stuff. So all that is a concern. But I was going to go Oklahoma State. I don't understand how they're allowed to have the stadium the way that they do with those small sidelines. It's for player safety, it's an issue. I go back to 2016 when Deontay Foreman got hurt when he ran out of the end zone and the guy shoved him into the wall because it's so tight over there. And every year, I promise you, every year somebody gets hurt. When we play at that state, well, every other year when we play there. But it's just frustrating. It's frustrating losing Oklahoma State. I'm not saying the season's, obviously we have a lot of things in front of us. That's another part of the good. We have a lot to look forward to in terms of the standings. But Oklahoma State's just been a thorn in our side. 3 out of the last 4 years, I felt like we should have won the football game. 2015, they outright cheated. Okay, and that changes fate because we probably make a bowl game. That's the one game that keeps us out of the bowl. Charlie Strong gets costed by the referee on the sideline. 2016, we had 2 running backs get injured. Chris Warren got hurt. Foreman got hurt running into the wall. 2017, Sam Ehlinger threw that. Doesn't throw the ball out of bounds in overtime, or else we probably win that game. And then this year, we have the situations that we have happened. Just very, very weird. Anything else you want to touch on in regards to Oklahoma State? I know a lot of people are complaining about the officiating.
We focused a lot of our attention on Chris Boyd because he was in the media as much. We do need to actually have give a little call out to both Davis and LJ because both of those they both had gotten in trouble for the same reason, and they both had reasons why we lost this game. LJ had a huge drop for about a 25-yard dig route with space ahead of him that. Yeah,
kills the drive.
Yeah, it kills it.
And that's a good. And it was a good play call.
Yeah,
but the drive dies when players. Again, that to me, that's why I said this game to me was more on lack of execution.
Yeah, absolutely. It was lack of focus, lack of execution, and I definitely do not see that in this week. I definitely think they will have our full attention. They're a top 15 team.
But can I ask you that? Like, why didn't Oklahoma State have our full attention coming off of a bye?
To tell you the truth, what we've seen is we play down to our competition, which that we're not good enough to do that. We shouldn't be doing that.
Why are we playing down to our competition? Because I think that's where the people, and I've been critical of Herman, and I honestly did think he had a good game plan for the Oklahoma State game. I would go to my grave saying that. But I think where he needs to be held accountable, because he did say they got out coached. Mm-hmm. Where he needs to be held accountable is figuring that part out. Like why, like I know when y'all go to the bowl game and y'all play the Oklahomas and the TC, like y'all are going to be good to go. But for whatever reason, if somebody has 3 or 4 losses on their resume, it just doesn't. We don't have the same attention to detail. So you guys let us know in the comments what you think it is. I'm not, some of you guys are overreacting and saying we need to fight, this is why Herman can't be the coach and all that type of stuff. That's nonsense to me.
We're at 6-2, guys.
Yeah. And who had us at 6-2 coming in this year? And our frustration is not about the record. It's not about the loss. It's the manner in which things went down. It's all segregated to this game, not the course of the season. But anyway, going to West Virginia, Will Greer, this wide receiving core, very explosive. They only have 1 loss where they lost, I think, in Ames to Iowa State. Overall, they've been very explosive. But, it's a home game, middle of the day. West Virginia hasn't really played anybody.
Yeah. Keys to victory, honestly, is defense needs to tackle in space. They need to play great assignment football. We need to get him to turn over the ball. He's pretty turnover prone.
Yeah, he will throw
against Kansas and Kansas State. I think he had something like a total of 5 interceptions, which hopefully we're watching tape on that and seeing why he threw them. I didn't see those interceptions, so I don't know.
The game I watched real closely at West Virginia was actually Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And the reason why, and I know Tech is good, I'm not discrediting Tech when I just said that they haven't played anybody, but Alan Bowman didn't play in that game. I think that was the Jet Duffy game, if I'm not mistaken.
He came in. He almost brought him.
I think, okay. So if that was the game he got. But in terms of West Virginia, they throw a lot of 50-50 balls. They trust their wide receivers. They have a connection. They will throw, they will be very aggressive down the sidelines. They're very aggressive throwing fades into the end zone. They're very aggressive with their rub routes. All those things, but that comes to communication with the corners, the nickel guy, if it's PJ Locke or Thompson or whoever's in there, they're going to have to be on their P's and Q's, but there will be opportunities to get turnovers. And this is, again, guys, when the ball's in the air, they got to catch it too. We've had a lot of dropped interceptions. Brandon Jones, Chris Boyd. People have had, the only person that's been consistent catching the ball is Caden Stearns. So, I don't think Devontae Davis has an interception yet this season. People, we got to get the turnovers ramped up. Fumbles, all that. I think the sacks have been okay, but really turning the ball over, we've only really had one person out there really catching the football on defense. So,
and the difference I see from these 2 teams from Oklahoma State, because they run similar offenses. Because
that's where David came from.
He came from. And the differences I see is Oklahoma State actually has a running game. So we have to focus a lot on Justice Hill and that Canadian guy. But he was very good. I think he was averaging 13 yards a carry against us. So maybe I should learn his name. He was a freshman, but I think their top running back has 300 yards or something like that.
Yeah, they haven't been running the football with a whole lot of effectiveness. Similar to us, their longest run on the year is about 30-something yards. And we don't have to really worry about quarterback running this game the way we've had.
He's a pocket passer.
Yeah, he's a pocket guy. He's not going to run around like Charlie Burton. Now, he will scramble to throw and extend plays, so we do need to be on our P's and Q's from the standpoint of, if he hangs around in the pocket or outside the pocket long enough, he can find somebody deep downfield. That will be a concern. I think we also have to lean in offensively on what we did last year in Morgantown. We were very physical We were very good in our quarterback run game, and we were very timely in the shots that we took. So, this is a team. Last year we kind of have to throw that game out of the window because
he got hurt.
He got hurt
drive or
the
something.
first drive. Yeah. Let me ask you a question though. Going into this game, we decided the Oklahoma State game. We decided to defer, and we've had and one of our subscribers, and I can't remember what one of y'all that said, I'm going to do a better job of keeping track of all the comments, but we deferred, and his issue was we're deferring, but we defensively we've just been conceding a touchdown at the beginning of these games. Baylor, OU, Oklahoma State, so wouldn't have been more prudent to potentially take the ball and try to get some momentum going the other way? Also, why are we just in this business of, I understand Todd Orlando is a great counterpuncher. He likes to kind of shows
what they're doing right away.
But does that automatically mean you have to give up 7 every time? That's what I'm a little confused about.
I'm from the school of let defense set the table type of thing. And so I don't have any issue with deferring and taking the ball at halftime because there's always that 2 minutes, especially in college, there's always
where
that
you can
2 minute,
double up.
You can, and we could have scored and then come back.
He got mad though after Sam got sacked, and he was like, "All right, he ran that last 12 seconds off."
Yeah.
It's just curious about the decisions, right? I don't think there's, me personally, I'm always on the side of deferring, but I don't want to defer if I know my defense is just going to concede 7 points and momentum either. So that I think that's where it's I do want to see a little bit. There's something that people are seeing on tape where they're scripting their first 15 plays like we're going to score.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think, just nitpicking with Todd, we got to clean that up a little bit.
So I wouldn't have mind if we accepted it, accepted the ball at the first kickoff. Seeing how it was, that it was an electric crowd. They're excited because of homecoming.
You could potentially go down and
take the wind out of it. I can see that, but I've always been one to.
And look, we exacerbated it with the penalty, right? They get the ball basically at midfield on their first offensive play, and then we have a 3rd down. We don't get off the field, and then they score.
Yep.
So it's, we almost got them off the field, but it's just something to where it's we need to pay a little bit of attention to that. And I'm sure they're having these conversations internally, and I'm sure Todd Orlando's I'm not just in the business of conceding the points.
Yeah.
I know we're not going to show everything, but at the same token, I'm not just going to give you 7. So, I mean, that's that. How did you feel about the onside kick?
I did not like it. Not with 3 timeouts left. I didn't like it. I wish that we kicked it deep. It was still, 146 left. And I think by 3rd down, it was 137 or something like that left in the game. If we stop them there, it's we get better field position to maybe even score a touchdown as opposed to go play for a field goal to tie. So I didn't like it. I understand why, because if we got the ball, we still have 3 timeouts and we have the ball at midfield. I understand it, but at that point in the game, I think we should kick to deep.
I think Tom Herman disagrees with you because he didn't trust the defense. I think it's twofold, actually. I think he didn't trust the defense, and he wanted to gamble and try to get a short field for the offense, knowing, it took them almost 4 minutes to score on the drive before. Now they got in, but again, when you're not consistently generating explosive plays, our explosive plays were either coming from PIs or Colin Johnson has to make an unbelievable catch, right? So I think he was thinking about that, and I think he was thinking about the fact that he was worried about the defense, even though they had only conceded 7 points.
Well,
I think now I agree. I said Tom Herman disagrees with you. I agree with you because the Cowboys did it the week before, and it's a little bit different when you're backed up, and they actually got the stop on Alex Smith when he ran out of bounds, and they got the ball back. Because I'm also thinking field position. If you don't get the onside kick, and on top of that, we're kicking it with poor Joshua Rowland, who hadn't played all year, and he comes in that spot. But that's neither here nor there. Obviously, he's their expert for that. But even if we had gotten the ball back, we would have had to go like 80 yards with no timeouts. Which is now not necessarily 80 yards because we were trying to.
They would have pooched it. It might have been closer to 90.
Yeah,
because they would have pooched it, and we would have.
But we only need a field goal, so it's not really the full yardage. But it would have been a lot more of a challenge than if we had kicked off, get the stop, get the punt, and then go from there. Big picture, do you think we make it to the Big 12 championship game?
I think these next two games, if we win these next two games, I think so.
Okay.
I do. It's going to be really difficult to win these next two games because these teams have the type of receivers that can beat our receivers. It's not. I think we can play. Yeah. Our corners. I think we can play the little shifty guys very well because we got pretty fast twitch guys. But I think we have a lot of trouble with tall receivers. And
all those guys.
And these two have two. Both Tech and West Virginia have both. They have a big time receiver that's Colin Johnson size. So I'm hoping, but I think if we do win these next two games, I think we'll be up for Iowa State. And if we lose to Kansas, we don't deserve to be in the Big 12 championship.
Well, we can't dismiss. I mean, the way they play up and down the guys, we can't dismiss anyone.
Yeah,
I do think they'll be up for West Virginia.
One point that I think do you want to see Keandre Colburn now that he can play 4 games and still get his red shirt?
But what about the Big 12 title game and the bowl game?
So you'd hold him out one more game?
Yeah, until there's only potentially 4 games left.
But what if they play him these games and not necessarily need him for the Kansas game? Because we need a guy up the middle, a big guy.
I agree. It depends on how he's practicing.
Okay.
If they feel that he's been moving the pile in practice and he can give them something, especially maybe even pushing the gaps on passing downs and helping, because Chris Nelson's not getting any help down there, right?
Nope.
I mean, it just is what it is. The other guys, Chisholm, I mean, they're having to put Taquan Graham down there. And you're seeing, like, when we can't take advantage of the Oklahoma State offensive line, that could be a reason to go to a Coburn. It's just a question if he's ready yet. And if he's ready, how many snaps is he playing? Is he playing 10 snaps?
He's a big boy. I mean, even if you give him a series or so rest for Nelson, it still helps out in the long run. But I completely forgot about hopefully the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with this flexibility, but it's just how do you want to utilize it. So summing it up, you want to tell them about this Saturday, what we're doing?
Yep, we will be at the West Virginia game. Don't know what tailgate we're going to be at. I honestly don't know what section we're at. One of my friends got hooked us up with the tickets, but if you see us down there,
we will both be there this week. Both be there. So like he said, we'll be at the tailgate. Once we find out logistics on tailgate, I'll include them in the description on this vid, as well as sharing them on all of the social media platforms that we're on. But, just really appreciate all the love you guys have shown us as we see y'all in public and continue to have these conversations online. Like I said, I'll have to do a better job of just keeping notes because, week to week I want to do, great comments and things that people say. We'll even have some giveaways, if you will, for just great commentary and great discussion and things that people bring to the table. I actually think this week we'll show the prize, if you will, for next week after we go through the comments. But my man has some cleats here. Show him the goods.
Size 11.5 Longhorn cleats. These are actually from the UT locker room. Brand new. If you guys give us some good comments or commentary, we'll send you the spare.
Yeah, and we'll discuss between ourselves and you know, we want to continue to interact with you all. Person obviously has to be local here to Austin right now, unfortunately, just logistically. But as we continue to grow and expand, we are investing in new equipment. We are investing in just other ways we can grow the channel. We'll try to increase our outlets. So sorry we ran a little over today, but just wanted to get all those extracurriculars, if you will. But we appreciate you guys as always. Tran and I are looking forward to seeing anyone who's at the West Virginia game this weekend.
Come by and say what's up.
Absolutely.
Come talk football.
Welcome.